On Saturday, November 15, 2025, I had the privilege of sitting among some of the sharpest minds shaping Africa's agro-real estate and future exports, industrial experts, Assetrise, institutional partners, board members, and major financiers of the agricultural value chain. As a shareholder in Assetrise Limited, this wasn't just another meeting. It was a front row seat to the unveiling of the Palm Ridge SPV model, a structure designed to transform oil palm plantation into a world-building engine for everyday investors while strengthening Africa's food system for the next 30 years. But beyond the celebration partnership, one moment stood out. A question, a necessary one. The room went quiet when the topic shifted to exports. During the interaction section with our institutional partners, including Fidelity Bank, Providence Bank, and Polaris Bank, the moderator asked a question many people in agriculture avoid, but one that determines whether Nigerians will finally compete globally in the oil palm and food export industry. Now the question, what is your export desk currently doing to strengthen the agricultural value chain, and how it's evolved from being documentation driven to becoming a development engine that supports off-screen production and processing? Now this question was challenging, because today, every serious bank in Nigeria, from Zenith banks to Fidelity to Privileges, says they are supporting exports. But the real difference is no longer in paperwork, letters of credit, or even documentation. The real difference is how deeply banks plug themselves into the agricultural value chain. The response from the Fidelity Bank representative was honest, strategic, and eye-opening. She said, most banks still avoid funding primary agriculture, not because they don't want to help, but because the highest financial risks sit on the production stage. Crop failure, climate variability, land issues, and long gestation periods. That's why most banks prefer processors of input suppliers where risk is lower and turnover is even faster. Secondly, she said, Fidelity Bank is internationally de-risking the agricultural ecosystem. They revealed that their portfolios are now heavily invested in fertilizer and input supply chains, agricultural processors, downstream export-ready companies. But more importantly, they are designing new systems to reduce the risk in primary production, because agriculture is now the new oil tree of the economy. Thirdly, she added, documentation will always be necessary, but the mindset is shifting. Why export documentation cannot disappear? Regulation demands it. Banks are now being pushed to co-invest with agro developers, support mechanization and processing, fund aggregation centers, strengthening traceability for export markets, build credit structures that encourage long-term agricultural projects. And this is exactly why our palm oil SPV model becomes powerful. Now down to the main tea, why this conversation matters for the Palm Ridge $1 billion oil palm consortium. Earlier in this session, the partnership between the BEM Group UK and Assetrise for a $1 billion oil palm plantation processing and export project was highlighted. But this partnership is not just a win for Assetrise. It is a down wave for large-scale processing, stable food intercropping, export diversification, global market penetration, institutional funding to the palm oil sector. Now, the banks in this room were not just observers. They are the institutions that must finance local processors, storage facilities, aggregation for exports, logistics, expansion of our plantation footprint, which brings us back to the core question. Now, here is my takeaway. Nigeria's next export boom will come from agricultural real estate. Sitting in this room, listening to the financial sector, global partners, agricultural technocrats, and PVC architects speak one after the other, one thing became clear. Nigeria is not suffering from a lack of agricultural potential. Nigeria is suffering from a lack of structured investment and value chain coordination. And that is exactly what the Palm Ridge SPV model was designed to solve. Now, we're not just building plantations, we are building Nigeria's next 30 years export economy. This gives investors, especially those in the diaspora, a direct stake in one of Africa's strongest export value chain with the security of structure, governance, and multi-stakeholder. Now, this is about positioning yourself ahead of the inevitable. If you understand where Africa is going, if you can read the signals from global food storages, if you could see how banks are quietly repositioning, if you know that palm oil will remain one of the world's most demanded commodity for the next 30 years, then you already know that opportunities like this don't wait. And the people who position early get the bigger margin. The best time to invest in owning a palm oil plantation was yesterday, and the second best time is the next hour.